the arena still smells of scorched stone. Brody, the Crimson Magic Tower's chosen fighter, lies defeated, undone by a single merciless strike, a fireball driven straight into his mouth that bursts out through his ears in a final brutal punctuation mark. Alpoi looks down at him without a trace of sympathy, reminding him coldly that on a real battlefield there's no such thing as an honourable loss, only results. The announcer's voice rings out, confirming what everyone already senses. Alpoi has won, and won decisively. Among the watching elders, disbelief spreads fast. They mutter among themselves, stunned at how far his control over mana has grown, as though he were weaving several spells at once without effort. One elder wonders aloud just what kind of merciless training regimen Count Fenris must have put him through to forge that kind of strength. Standing nearby, Vanessa stays quiet, listening to the murmurs without comment. She alone understands what the others don't, that Alpoi has already survived battle after battle long before this exhibition match. Off to the side, Hubert can barely contain himself. He laughs, loud and triumphant, turning to gloat at Delmud, reminding him that their tower's successor has just humiliated the Crimson Tower's prized heir. The irony is that Hubert never even planned for Alpoi to compete in the first place, never imagining he had a real chance to win. Riding high on the victory, Hubert closes in on Alpoi, piling on praise, calling it nothing less than what he expected from their tower's own bloodline. He tries to smooth over months of distance, with an excuse about being busy, but Alpoi has no patience for the performance. He waves him off without a word, telling him flatly to keep his distance, too drained from the fight to deal with any of it, masking his exhaustion with an awkward cough. Hubert grumbles, calling him an ungrateful brat, baffled by the sudden cold shoulder. Nearby, one of the elder mages quietly reflects on his own past treatment of Alpoi, regretting that he hadn't shown him more respect when it mattered. Hubert doesn't dwell long. He shifts his attention to Vanessa, announcing it's her turn next and warning her to stay careful, to which she responds with calm, simple confidence. Riding the momentum, Hubert raises his voice toward Delmud again, daring him to send out another disciple. When the silence stretches and no one steps forward, he pushes harder, mocking the Crimson Tower's hesitation and openly inviting Delmud himself to step into the ring. Privately, Hubert is gloating, certain that none of Delmud's disciples can match Vanessa's circle level, congratulating himself on how fortunate it was that Alpoi had already secured the first win. Across the room, Delmud's composure begins to crack. Convinced that total victory is slipping toward the Scarlet Flame side, his expression darkens with fury. After a stretch of unbearable silence, he does something no one expects. He starts clapping, slow and deliberate, while the rest of the room stands frozen. He murmurs his approval, then turns his gaze directly on Alpoi, addressing him as the one who managed to defeat a god, a title that visibly throws Alpoi off balance. His attention shifts next to Vanessa, and he declares that this gathering has turned out to be far more revealing than he expected, having now witnessed both of their abilities firsthand. Then, with an expression that sends a chill through the room, Delmud announces that he will personally take the final match. What follows is less a declaration and more a demonstration of raw dominance. Delmud unleashes the full weight of his power, encasing himself in a massive sphere of compressed magic that lifts him off the ground, leaving every onlooker frozen in place. A colossal magic circle takes shape in front of him, and the pressure radiating off his aura is enough to blow out every window in the building and tear up the floor beneath their feet. Crimson lightning crackles violently through the structure. Hubert, horrified, accuses him of breaking the most sacred rule of these gatherings, that tower masters and elders are never supposed to interfere in disciple duels. Delmud, unbothered, replies that he's simply doing exactly what Hubert dared him to do moments earlier, and mockingly invites him to join the fight as well. Hubert sputters back that no one could have taken that taunt as a literal invitation. It's Alpoi who breaks the standoff. He grabs Hubert by the collar and shouts at everyone to stop wasting time arguing. Hubert, stunned by the uncharacteristic forcefulness, can only stammer his name in disbelief, but the Alpoi standing there now is nothing like the timid boy Hubert once knew. Hardened by everything he's already lived through, Alpoi warns that their enemies came here fully intending to wipe them out, and that if they want to survive, they need to start fighting back immediately. Vanessa steps forward without hesitation, calling for the elders to raise every mana barrier they have, while she vows to hold Delmud off herself. She conjures her frost technique, shaping a cluster of piercing ice spears and aiming them straight at him. Delmud answers with an effortless defensive barrier. Vanessa fires anyway, and the ice slams directly into his shield, detonating in a violent explosion. But when the smoke clears, he's completely untouched. Lowering his raised arm with eerie calm, he triggers his signature lightning technique, and a moment later the entire tower is engulfed in a storm of crimson electricity that detonates at its core. A massive pillar of red light erupts into the sky, visible to the terrified citizens below as dark storm clouds gather overhead. It's at this exact moment that Ghislain finally reaches the scene, taking in the devastation and immediately moving to reach his people. Inside the ruined building, a gaping crater now marks where the tower's heart used to be. Delmud floats above the rubble, breathing hard, sweat on his brow, betraying just how much that attack cost him. Remarkably, Vanessa is still on her feet, though her clothes are torn to shreds from the force of the blast. Around her, the scene is far grimmer. Every elder mage lies unconscious. Alpoi is collapsed on the ground, with nothing left to give, and even Hubert has been forced to his knees. It becomes clear that Vanessa alone is the reason any of them survived that strike, and the cost was steep. She had been quietly drawing on Alpoi's own mana reserves throughout the fight, using him almost like a battery to keep her shield standing. Struggling to catch his breath, Hubert curses Delmud for daring to pull something like this inside their own tower grounds. Delmud, visibly displeased, works out loud what just happened, that Vanessa shouldn't have been able to withstand a spell of that magnitude on her own circle level, meaning she must have been siphoning power from the one who reportedly defeated a god to make up the difference. The realization seems to fascinate him as much as it angers him, and he remarks that the two of them are clearly more significant than he assumed, given their connection to House Fenris. Gathering himself, he admits that even casting at this level takes a toll on his own body, then summons a fresh barrage of fire circles around him, taunting them to see how much longer they can possibly last. Drawing on whatever strength remains, Vanessa throws up another barrier, deflecting the incoming fireballs while still quietly drawing on Alpoi's mana. She follows up with a surge of her own, driving her staff forward to unleash a wave of energy at Delmud, who reacts instantly, yanking nearby debris into a makeshift wall to absorb the blow. In the chaos, Hubert seizes his opening, hurling his own fire spell at Delmud and shouting that this is finally his end. Delmud counters without missing a beat, summoning a whirlwind that scatters the flames into nothing. The effort leaves Hubert completely spent, and he drops to his knees beside Vanessa, both of them gasping for air. Delmud notes, almost admiringly, that taking on 2 sixth circle mages at once isn't something to take lightly, then begins charging up the exact same devastating attack that nearly finished them moments ago, declaring that this time will be final. Desperate, Hubert looks around for anyone capable of raising a barrier, but every disciple and elder around them is unconscious or too injured to move. He turns to Vanessa and Alpoi, only to find both of them utterly drained, unable to lift a hand. A wave of dread settles over him as he realizes that simply surviving Delmud's first strike had cost them nearly everything they had left, and he can't shake the thought that the Scarlet Flame Tower might be destined to fall apart right here, in his own generation. But just as Delmud prepares to release the final blow, something stops him cold. His eyes widen in shock as he looks skyward, watching a figure descend gracefully through the air on threads of woven mana. Landing before him with unshakable calm, the man meets Delmud's gaze directly and introduces himself, the Lord of House Fenris, Count Ghislain Fenris, explaining simply that he had come to attend the Magic Towers meeting, even if he arrived a little later than he intended.